Hello, English 486 online students. This is your professor, Dr. Martin speaking. I'm adjusting the volume as I'm talking to you. I asked you to I asked you to do a video project this week, so I thought I would come from behind the camera and actually see you all and talk to you all in that manner, since I'm asking you to do the same. So it's nice to work with you, and I am going to talk to you this week about the piece you're doing over the weekend, Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night, A Traveler. And this 1979 novel is by an Italian novelist, Italo Calvino. I previously taught his work, Mr. Palomar, but it's been about a decade. I can tell you he uses very kind of poetic prose language. He's experimental, and at least Mr. Palomar was about a person who was obsessed about, going out to the store and seeing crows or blackbirds, I should say, in the skies. So he writes about unique characters. He doesn't have an action-propelled novel, and he doesn't have, he uses very streamlined but poetic prose. The thing that I wanted to mention about our piece, and I think what will help you as you read this piece, is to note how he structures each individual chapter. So if you take a look with me just for a second at If on a Winter's Night, you see chapter 1, and then you see the name of the title, chapter 2, name of the title, chapter 3, etc. Each of these points is a master narrative chapter where a you, Y-O-U, addressed in the second person, is reading with another person. Chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You see what I'm looking at? Those are the you chapters where an unknown male second person narrator, I don't know if you'd call him a narrator, he's being narrated at by the author, is reading with a woman named Ludmilla, whom he's going to eventually meet and kind of like. And most of these stories are about a guy who's pursuing a woman indirectly. We think he's romantically interested in them. And it's about the art of reading. I know that's vague, but many of the chapters deal with someone at a publishing company and being given a bunch of books and manuscripts to read that have been translated. This entire book is about the art of reading, and there's always an other reader, someone who's reading it with the second person you that's being addressed in these chapters that are numbered. The other key is in these numbers right here, in these name chapters. You see where I am outside the town of Malbork, leaning from a steep slope. Notice they have the same syntax, without fear of wind or vertigo. These are the names of actual novels that he's going to start for you. I believe there are 10. And you're going to have to discern, where are we? Are we Poland? Are we in Belgium, France, Asia, South America? Several of them, they will not mention where they're from, by the way, in the actual piece. And the novel will just have an excerpt. In the one I just taught to the InSeat class, I'm teaching our course InSeat, and they're working on this book right now. The last one we talked about was a chapter with a guy, the chapter is on a male who finds a body, and he has a dead body in a bag, and he's trying to get rid of it. There's usually 2 males and a female in each of the named chapters, right? So it's the same romantic rivalry, kind of you see reciprocated through multiple storyline versions, if that makes sense. And each of these seem to be set in some European setting. There is some sex, but not much. We're not dealing with Robert Coover here. And many of the stories, like the first one you'll read, is about a guy in a train station, and he's trying to figure out, am I giving a handoff of a briefcase to someone? And he's talking to a female bartender when her ex-husband walks in. And the story starts with, the story ends, that particular novel, right? Each of the named chapters are small pieces of a new novel. They don't come back to them. Calvino's playing with us. And that chapter ends with him doing the briefcase exchange, but something's gone awry. So there's always some intrigue, always some drama in these named chapters. It is a postmodern novel, so the works will be short vignettes or short pieces that are snippets. So that's kind of a postmodern technique. You saw that with Coover and the multiple storylines with the prince or with beauty, right? So the idea is they use shorter vignettes, and that's one of the postmodern ideas. The author will interrupt the story and talk to us, and if you read the first chapter, the author tells us to sit down, have a cigarette if we want. Remember, it's the 70s. I guess people smoked more. Turn off the TV, get into a comfortable chair. The direct address of an audience member, the reader, kind of breaks the fourth wall that we associate with art, with books. And that is a distinctly postmodern technique, the self-awareness of the art form as a reflexive medium. So the self-awareness, the direct reference to the reader, the snippets, these are all postmodern techniques. I do want you to try to get some postmodern theory in as you're reading these books for the course. So this one's dense. I may play with the schedule a bit because it's going to take a bit to get through. Your video should talk about your reading practices with it, how you made your way through it. Though again, that's your kind of key to getting into it, is that each chapter has a number, and then this next chapter is the actual book. For example, at the end of chapter 2, right, you're reading, and you're told at the very end that you have a volume, and you're reading it with Ludmilla. I'm using the second person purposely because this is a strange novel, and that the majority of it, or at least half of it, is written in the second person pronoun. So with this one, you open up the book and you're trying to find out who the author is of the book titled Outside the Town of Malbork. And remember, it's our guy, the you, who is reading it with Ludmilla, or at least reading some of these, and seemingly is romantically interested in her. And much of what you're going to be reading is about authorship and readership and theories of who wrote what. There's going to be a weird speaker of stories in some rainforest. There's going to be a lack of attribution to some stories. You're going to read a chapter, and it's going to play with your head that Calvino, the narrator, will explain that maybe that's not the actual story that was being told. Was it set in Poland or not? So there's lots of ways that readership and authorship interplay in this piece, and it's going to be a difficult, but I hope edifying story for you. But that's a brief introduction. Good luck with your videos. I enjoyed talking with you. Bye.